When you constantly need to be in the weeds with your team, it can be really hard to get to the fun, strategic work that you want to do as a leader. Fortunately, there is a way around this through goal setting. In this week's episode of The Happy Leader, I'm going to share with you some stories and tips to help you set really inspirational goals with your team. This will help them get into the work, be motivated to do it, and it will get you out of the weeds. Welcome to The Happy Leader. I'm Amy Sanchez, executive coach to some of the most innovative leaders and teams in Silicon Valley. I'll share stories and tips to help you navigate the most common leadership challenges so you can amplify what matters most: happiness. Your ability to inspire your team can make the difference between you needing to be in the weeds with your team a lot of the time versus freeing you up to do the more fun, strategic work. Setting goals to inspire your team is a really important tool in your toolbox to help you with this. Now, let me just address the elephant in the room. Goal setting can be a real drag a lot of the time because it's just another task that we have to check off on top of all of our day job tasks, right? But here's the thing. I have learned over time to really appreciate this exercise, and I'll share with you why and how to help reframe this for you. And I'm also going to help you make the most of this exercise so it does, in fact, help you. The very first tip that I have is both for you and for your employee. It's important to understand why goal setting is important. Why do we want to do this? Because it helps to create this emotional attachment. If we understand why we're doing the busy work, it helps us feel more invested and empowered to do the work that's important to move the needle. Also, setting goals really helps us feel good when we attain the goal. Think about playing a game. You have no idea what the objective is of the game. It would be boring, right? Games are fun, but it's also fun to win. So give your employees the opportunity to win through knowing what their goals are. The second reason why goal setting is important is it's a way to align day-to-day work with the larger strategic vision, goals, and values. This is key because it helps you maintain and build the culture that you want as you think about bringing your values into it. So think about Southwest, for example. They're unique as an airline because they bring a little bit of fun to their everyday interactions with their customers. When you look at Southwest goals, you do see the word fun infused in there. So part of this is also making sure that you maintain and build your culture through the goals, and then also that you all are rowing in the same direction. This helps to create consistency, efficiency, and improves productivity. Finally, the third reason why it's important to set goals is when you give regular feedback to your employees, which is a really important part of ensuring that they know how they're doing. If they are missing the mark, anchoring to the goals that you set together will really help you point to what's going wrong. So this can help with those conversations to realign an employee back to the space or the area where they should be focused. Now, to help you kind of see high level, the best way for this to work, I'm going to talk to you about goal cascading. So think about a waterfall. It starts from the top and then just starts to trickle down. At the very top of this waterfall is company vision and values. Now, hopefully that's already been established within your company and that there has been wide communication so that you know what those are. If you don't know what your company vision and values are, you might want to ask. And if those aren't in place, give me a call because we want to make sure that you've got those in place so you know what you're shooting for overall. The second thing in the waterfall is the organizational and business division goals. Usually this will be set at the senior level, C-suite, VPs. They will be set sometime normally in the beginning of the year, at the end of the previous year. And so we know as an organization what we're shooting for and department-wise what we're shooting for. Then the next cascade is department and team goals. These are going to be built upon the higher topics at the top of the waterfall. Finally, individual goals, which will then drive day-to-day actions. Now, as always, I like to bring this alive with a story from the companies that I'm working with here in Silicon Valley and how I've seen this really move the needle. The past couple of years, I've been working with a growing Silicon Valley-based company who's been around for decades, and they've been really successful. However, prior to the past couple of years, all of their time was really focused on how do we make things great for our customer? How do we improve our product? And how do we make our service better? But the thing that they didn't have on their radar, or perhaps have the interest or inclination to invest in, was how do we grow and develop our people? But to their credit, they have started to do that in the last couple of years and have seen some pretty tremendous results. At one senior leadership day-long workshop, we were discussing goal setting, and this is something that the president has brought in as a top priority over the past couple of years. In one of our discussions about why it's important to set goals, one of the VPs raised his hand and said, "Goal attainment feels so much better to me when I know it in advance what I'm working towards. It gives me a nice, clean beginning and end to my work and that feeling of accomplishment that follows." I looked around the room and everybody was nodding their head in agreement. Since that company started to define and develop their goals and socialize them among their senior leaders, they've seen much greater alignment and success in obtaining their goals. Our next step now is to cascade those goals down to middle management and give them the tools and resources through leadership training to help them start to socialize those goals and share them with the front line so that everybody is on the same page. Now, let me go back to that monkey in the room. When I was working in the corporate space, goal setting sometimes felt like a burden on top of all the other day-to-day activities because those didn't slow down or stop. So goal setting just felt like another layer of work on top of all of that. But over time, here's what I've learned. I've now worked with a number of teams on goal setting exercises. I also reflected on what goal setting did for me in the workplace. And as an entrepreneur, being in business for several years, I've seen how important goal setting is for me. So if you are a fast mover like me, and usually those, if you've taken the DISC assessment, those are profiles D and I, you may groan when you hear the term goal setting, but see if you can reframe that exercise in your mind. So it won't be an exercise that will slow you down, but instead it will be one that will help you to go faster. Also, finding the emotional tie to the goal setting exercise is key as well, not only for you as the leader, because you're going to bring that excitement to the conversation when you start to talk to your team about their goals, but it's going to be important for your team to pick up on that energy and also mimic it. That's a little prelude to what one of my tips is. With that in mind, let's talk about the best way to create goals in a way that's going to increase the emotional motivation for you and the team and set you up for success. I have 4 tips to share with you. The very first tip of that goal setting conversation is ensure that it's collaborative. So what you don't want to do is come to that meeting and say, here's our department goals and here are your goals. Go to it. You don't create the buy-in through that type of a conversation. And you also don't give your employee the opportunity to improve what you've developed. They know their work better than anyone. So giving them a voice and a role in this goal creation exercise is really going to increase their dedication to meeting that goal. So don't just tell your employee what their goal is. Discuss and arrive at the goals together with your department goals serving as a framework during this discussion. Second tip, make sure it's a SMART goal. By SMART goal, I mean specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. If your employees are not familiar with that framework, give them something to read in advance so they understand what we're shooting for in that conversation, that collaborative conversation that you have. And together you can build SMART goals. Number 3, create an emotional connection. Because we're human, emotion matters. Help your employee understand, why does it matter? What will they gain as a result of accomplishing the goal? What's the carrot? Also, what is possible once they achieve the goal? Now, let me give you an example of this. I used to work in the healthcare space for many years, and in healthcare, it was really easy to create that emotional tie. If we successfully launch this product, millions of patients are going to benefit and their health is going to improve. See if you can create that tie to, why does this matter as it relates to the greater good, and also as it relates to your employee and what their goals and motivations are, so that they get emotionally invested in the goals that together you're establishing. And here's the 4th tip that I have for you. Once you've established your goals, they have the emotional connection, you know what they are, they're smart, measurable, you've got milestones established. The fourth thing that I encourage you to do is check in at a regular cadence. Now, what these will look like is one-on-ones at a reliable time with your frontline employee, with your direct report. During these one-on-ones, coach your employee through obstacles. Now, notice I say coach instead of tell. A coach-like approach means asking open-ended questions instead of telling them what to do. The benefit of this is it really helps them start to think about how to come up with a solution. And this trains them then to start thinking of solutions instead of relying on you as a crutch to solve their problems. Now, let me just acknowledge, if time is short or stakes are high, you might need to tell them what to do. But if you have the opportunity and the time, it's better to coach them because that will help both you and them in the long run. When you're having those one-on-one meetings, make sure that you create accountability and have your employee get in the habit of reporting back on project milestones. Finally, show support through positive feedback. This is one area that is so often missed by managers, but it is such an effective strategy. As you think about this goal-setting exercise with your employees or your department, if you would like help from an experienced facilitator to support that goal-setting conversation at the senior level, so you can be a part of the conversation instead of trying to run the meeting, you can reach out to me to talk about how to set you and your organization up for success and get this off your plate. My email is amy@swim-against.com. In the meantime, take good care of yourself and don't forget to celebrate the sweet victory when you do reach your goals and let happiness reign. Thanks for listening to The Happy Leader. If you would like more information about me, Amy Sanchez, and our executive coaching and team leadership services at Swim Against the Current, visit swim-against.com. And if you liked this podcast, help others who could use the support find it by giving us a rating. Until next time, life is short. Stay happy.